So what happened? Later in the year, they fired Dewey Livengood before the Rockingham race.
Towards the end of the year.
Towards the end of the season. And Mr. Osterlund always told me, he said, remember, we never have a problem. It's just a phone call away and we can resolve it. Always remember. I said, okay. Well, Dewey called me up, told me they fired him. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
We're running, I believe before that Rockingham race, we were second in the points. I mean, and had a chance to win it. We weren't out by no means out of the picture of winning the championship. And they fired a crew chief? I mean, what in the world? I was extremely upset. I tried calling Osterlund. He would not take my phone calls. I don't know why to this day. So I went to Rockingham and I drove the car. I drove it hard just like I always did. I don't remember you can check the record. I don't even exactly remember where we finished, but I think we did okay. And Osterlund didn't really hardly talk to me down there. They wouldn't give me an answer why they fired Dewey. Now, Dewey had the car ready to go to Rockingham. He had the car ready to go to Atlanta. He had the car ready to go to Ontario, California. All three cars were ready to go to those races, minus the engine. Ducky Newman was building the engines at the time, but Dewey had put a different engine in those cars, set them up in the shop, and scaled them, and everything was 100%. It was just an engine swap, ready to go. So I think Roland wanted to show or be the boss or whatever, and I think that's why they got rid of Dewey. I don't really know. I've never been told. However, when we went to Atlanta, I still hadn't been able to talk to Rod Osterlund. So when we qualified at Atlanta, I was so upset about that situation that after qualifying, and I don't remember where we qualified, but we qualified good, and I went up in the press box and I told the news media that I was quitting Osterlund. And I was upset because of them firing Dewey, because it wasn't right. Dewey is a good Christian man, honest, and it just wasn't right. So that night, I called Helen, and I told her, I said, don't call me this evening at the motel, because I am not answering the telephone, because I figured Osterlund would be trying to call. And that phone rang several times. I did not answer it. And I drove Atlanta, and I could have won the Atlanta race. I and Richard, on that last restart, were running first and second. And I know Donnie Allison will disagree. But when Richard and I went in the second turn and down the back straightaway, I had a good car length lead on Richard. And going into the third turn and coming off of 4, I just eased off the throttle a little bit, and we went through there side by side, and I let Richard win the race. Because I was so mad at
You let him win the race.
I did. Because I was so upset with Osterlund, I did not want to put him on the winner's circle. I had just quit the race team on Thursday afternoon after qualifying. So I ran second. Then they had this big scoring dispute. And Brian France somehow got involved in that.
Yeah.
And at 10 o'clock or 10:30 at night, they announced Donnie Allison the winner.
Donnie that opens up a whole other can of worms.
Donnie was a lap down. Wow. On the restart, everything that they'd done pertained to Donnie being a lap down. Everything. And they end up declaring Donnie the winner. But yes, I backed off and let Richard win the race because I was not going to put Osterlund on the winner's circle. Because that went with the team, the owner, not the driver.
So officially, where did you finish?
Second. But then when all was said and done, third.
Third, okay.
Because they moved Richard back to second.
This whole row with Osterlund and Roland Wilotica was over Dewey, correct?
Yes, because they fired Dewey and have never told me why.
I think it's really intriguing that from the outside looking in, to most people, it would have seemed that maybe you didn't like the fact that there was this kid by the name of Dale Earnhardt
No,
coming in the picture?
absolutely.
Because he had driven a few races for Rod, had driven a late model sportsman race at Charlotte and did real
Yep.
well, wound up running Ontario, I think, did
Yep.
real well there. So Dale Earnhardt had nothing whatsoever to do with you.
Absolutely not.
No kidding.
No, and everybody thought that.
Yeah.
Everybody, no, sir, that had absolutely. I didn't know even at the time that Dale was going to get the ride. Maybe they did, or maybe Roland did, and maybe that's why they fired. I don't know, but I didn't know that at the time. But no, I was friends with Dale. I didn't care that Dale was going to drive there. It was great. Would have been fantastic. We'd have been great teammates. We would have raced the hell out of each other. They'd have had a hell of a team. Better than they think.
And you would have been okay with a two-car team, even though
Why,
at that
sure.
time two-car teams weren't the norm.
I know that, but yes, I'd have been fine. I mean, after all, I was successful there as well as I was at K&K. I regret not winning that race at Atlanta because, that would have went on my record, but I just was so mad. And I just, you do things when you're mad sometimes, but just like when I went up in there and quit, I had my mind made up. But yes, I eased off that throttle and made it look really, really good and let Richard be ahead of me in the checkered flag.